Welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we talk Christian Eriksen leaving, Rasmus and Bruno have both spoken out, and also Thomas Tuchel waits on Erik ten Hag sacking. They're your big headlines. We'll be discussing that. Hope you're all doing very, very well this Friday, and thankfully a whole week has gone of this international break already. It won't be long until we're back watching proper football. But let's start off with what is a bit of a fake story that, again, I'm getting a bit... Look, I don't know, actually, let's be fair. Do you have a responsibility or not? At the end of the day, I think what we've seen this week is just a growing... you know what? I see aggregator websites passing off exclusives that they definitely don't have. So I just think we've got to be very, very careful here, and we've got a responsibility as a community to try and call it out if we get it wrong, which sometimes we do. But Eriksen has not said he's leaving Manchester United, and yet for about half an hour ago, all the aggregators, everyone's saying Christian Eriksen says he's leaving, and he's not. The person who wrote the article has had to clarify it, but even in the article it didn't say it. So it's just like, we can handle the truth. Don't make it up. So I think that realistically what Christian Eriksen has said, and I'm more interested in what Bruno Fernandes has said, because I think it's a big insight into the problems. We did the video on Bruno yesterday, didn't we? And he's basically not watched the video and come out and said something, but he's basically saying that he's happier, another player who's happier playing international football because of the players he's got around him suiting him, which is just weird from the captain of Man United to say that. But we did the video yesterday, and I think one of the big takeaways I took, there was a brilliant comment on it about Bruno Fernandes. If he plays well, Man United play well. If he plays badly, Man United play badly. And I think that's the mic drop. It wasn't my comment, it was one of yours, and it's absolutely true. Tell me it's wrong. I think, and that's the whole focus of Bruno really is, if we're going to play well, he does need to play well. And if he plays badly, we tend to play badly. And that's why his role is so important. And at the moment, he's not playing well. But Christian Eriksen basically said that his international future is obviously his focus, and he'll have to have a look at that in the summer and decide what he's going to do. At the moment, there's no conversation with Manchester United or him about extending his contract. Now, it's October. And Christian Eriksen's actually been one of our better players in the last few weeks. Not that that's hard, but he has. So it's not impossible that if he went and had an amazing season, that Man United might offer him another year. But remember, he's on 150k a week. And we did try to move him on in the summer. So I think logically he probably will leave next summer. But he's not going to announce he's leaving now, and Man United are not going to accept it either. So, look, it's a bit of a non-story, but of course Christian Eriksen's probably going to leave. Of course he's probably going to leave, and it's probably the right thing to do as we look to move forward, but he hasn't said he's leaving. That's the main thing there. Just on the manager situation, because I want to fly through as much as possible here. Erik ten, so this is coming in from Christian Falk, which is, it's not an is, it's a him. He is a... German journalist, very good around Bayern Munich, but he has said this: if Erik ten Hag is sacked by Manchester United, Thomas Tuchel will be one of the top candidates to replace him. The contact is there. Tuchel will definitely want the United job after having some time off. Well, look, I'm more than happy to talk about this. Rayan says, please play EAFC today. 3 o'clock today, mate. It's definitely happening. Well, I can't say definite, but it's set up to happen. You know, who knows what could happen between now and then. But the plan is to play, yes. But look, back to what I was saying about Thomas Tuchel. I think we've had a week. I mean, what a week. It's Friday, isn't it? I mean, at the start of the week, we thought we were going to get some sort of announcement. We didn't. And I think what we have established, and I tweeted this earlier, is it makes me laugh now how you get journalists and ITKs on Twitter or YouTube channels telling you what's happening. I saw another thing about Tuchel this morning where Man United, Sir Jim Radcliffe wants Thomas Tuchel from some aggregator. And I'm like, you don't know anything, mate. And I'm not picking on you, but you don't know anything. Who's told you it? Well, I can't tell you that because it's my sort. You haven't been told a thing. Maybe in the Glazer regime, people were being told, well, they were, but nobody's being told anything. We said this in the summer. We're a community. We talk every bloody day. And as much as we'd like to think we know something, we don't. Nobody knew anything about any transfer. People sat there in March, myself included, with a hotometer. We had to bin the hotometer. Good. But we had to bin it because there was no information coming out. Nothing was coming out at all until it came out from Ornstein or Romano when United wanted it to come out. So to think that somebody, whether it's Manchester Evening News or a Twitter account or whatever, has got the direct line into Sir Jim Radcliffe and knows that he wants Thomas Tuchel is incredible. Absolutely incredible. We had a story on Monday that we were in talks with Thomas Tuchel. We're not. This is just media speculation. And I think when you start to understand that, you start to understand it. Like, you're not being fed proper information. You're being fed bullshit from people who need to, make themselves feel good or, make a living for the paper that they work for. I understand it's difficult. It must be very difficult when you're not getting anything, but they're making it up. They're making it up. What happened on Tuesday, in my opinion, in that meeting is, I reckon, out of 6, 7 people that are powerful at Man United and get listened to, I would say maybe 3, maybe 2, maybe 4 said we should sack Ten Hag. And the rest of them said we shouldn't. And I think that's what happened. I think that there is an eyes wide open conversation going on a regular basis at that football club about what to do with Ten Hag. But I don't think it's unanimous. And I think that's why he's still there at the moment. And whether we agree with that or not, I think that's what's happening. Whether we'd be having conversations with other managers, I very much doubt it, because a lot of these managers, and Thomas Tuchel is certainly one, ever since Bayern Munich were going to get rid of him, he's linked himself to about 4 different jobs. Chelsea was linking himself to that. His agent obviously does a very good job. So if you're Man United, you are not going to hold talks with Thomas Tuchel. And remember back in May, when we did hold talks with Thomas Tuchel, a lot of that information came out, because it obviously came out from his side. So Man United are not going to have conversations with him at the moment because they know it's going to leak. So I think where we're at the moment is exactly what Christian Falk says. If and when Erik ten Hag gets sacked, Thomas Tuchel will come back into the candidates again. But we're not in talks with him, and he's not close to getting the job. And I don't believe for 1 minute that Sir Jim Radcliffe's walking around with a Thomas Tuchel jumper on. I don't think he is. I think that where we are at the moment, whether we like it or not, is that United are not unanimous on sacking Erik ten Hag. But we've got a game in a week. We've got Fenerbahce midweek after that. We've got an injury crisis again. It might not be that long. It might not be long before that sort of thing starts to happen, if I'm being completely honest. Let's talk about what Bruno Fernandes has had to say, though. I mean, I found this very, very interesting. He said, basically, he's had quite a lot to say. I mean, he's talking about the red card, not really bothered about that. But he said this: it's not just about the national team, which is where I feel increasingly. This is amazing to me. So this is a direct quote from Bruno Fernandes. It's not just about the national team, which is where I feel increasingly good and where I can enjoy my football due to the dynamics and the quality that I have by my side. At the club, I have to improve as soon as I get there. The goals will come, and I also have to take responsibility for that. 2 things from that comment from Bruno that sort of worries me a little bit. First of all, I feel increasingly good and I can enjoy my football with the dynamics and quality I have by my side when I'm with my national team. Well, if that's not a dig at the dynamics and the quality you've got by your side at Man United, I don't know what else is. This is the quintessential reoccurrence that keeps happening around Manchester United. We've heard Luke Shaw talk about this. We've heard other players talk about this when they've gone and played for England. And we've now got it with Bruno Fernandes, who essentially is saying, I feel happier playing for my national team because I have got players around me that, make me feel better. Well, look, who's he got around him? Portugal, Bernardo Silva, Cristiano Ronaldo. And, they have got some good players there. But he is the captain of Manchester United. His responsibility is to not just be a player, it's to be a driver of that team as well. But it's not good when you hear stuff like that. I'm happier with my national team. Well, he didn't say he's happier, but he says I'm feeling increasingly good when I'm with my national team due to the dynamics and the quality I have by my side. And at the club, I know I've got to improve and the goals will come. I also have to take responsibility for that. Well, it's good that you've got to take responsibility for that, Bruno, but I don't really care about the goals. And he goes on to say, I've scored a high level of goals at Manchester United in recent years, and I also have a standard that I want to maintain. I hope to score as soon as I get there to help the club return to winning ways and to the best level. Why are you talking about goals? I don't care if you don't score a goal again. I want you to create. You're the number 10. I'm not interested in, when I hear Bruno talking about goals, I'm thinking 35-yard shot. Bruno's coming back again, isn't it? I'm thinking hero ball, hero shot, Hollywood pass, Hollywood shot. Fucking hell, just calm down. Watch the video from yesterday. Listen to what people are saying. We just want you to be a number 10, mate. We just want you to look after the ball. We want you to create. We want to stop seeing Hollywood passes and Hollywood shots. And, listening to him there, it's like, I've got to score. I feel like I've got to score. You haven't got to bloody score. You've got to play well. If you score a penalty or a 30-yard shot, doesn't necessarily mean you have a good game. What we need to see is Bruno Fernandes playing well for Manchester United. And playing well for Manchester United doesn't mean scoring a goal, especially when you're in number 10. It's a nice to have, but the necessity is that you lead the creative element of our footballing team. And that is what we need from Bruno Fernandes, because I completely agree with a lot of people saying yesterday, when Bruno Fernandes plays well, Man United play well. And when Bruno Fernandes plays badly, Man United tend to not play well. And that's because he's the creative element in that team. So that's what we need to see from him. But yeah, look, this is as I said, it's a recurring factor around Manchester United players when they go on international football. We used to have it with Pogba all those years ago. They start speaking out about, oh, I love it with my national team. It's so better. But international football shit. It's shit for a start. It's always been shit, and it is shit. The standard's not the same. And also, international football's a holiday. I prefer it so much better being on holiday in Mallorca than I do being at work. Well, surprise, surprise. You meet up 4 times a season and you play shit opposition, and the manager's nice to you because he hasn't got time not to be, and it's just a big bloody holiday. I mean, I'm not surprised he enjoys it with his international club, his international team. But guess what? Who pays you the most money? Who watches you the most? It's your club. You've got to deliver for your club. And it's not an excuse to go and play for your international team and go, oh, I'm surrounded by better players. I'm more happy here. Well, you play at Manchester United. That's where your wage is paid. That's where you are. And a good player plays well everywhere. So what you're saying is, I mean, look, I've played the game. You've played the game. You put me in a team with good players around me, I'm a better player. You put me in a team with bad players around me, I'm a bad player. But if I'm a really good player, I'm a better player with good players, and I'm still a good player with bad players. And that's the thing. What you're saying is, oh, I can only play well with good players. You've got to prove that you can do it at any level. That's what you've got to do, in my opinion. Noticed you follow Chess GM Kevin. Are you into chess? Says Coy. I do like chess, probably because they're a Man United fan, to be honest with you. Xerxes more expensive than Weghorst and he's not good enough, says Eric. And Mark, my jumper arrived today. Paul Woolley. A woolly jumper for Christmas. Well done, mate. Hope you're enjoying it. I've got mine hung up behind if you want to get your orders in while we've still got them. There's no I in team, says Lee. And this is what Rasmus had to say, because we've had Eriksen talking, we've had Bruno talking, and we've had Rasmus talking as well. Be very interesting to see what happens with Rasmus, actually, because basically what he had to say was that, well, Lindelof's been talking as well. He says, it's nice to be back. The body is fine, and I've been riding hard during the rehabilitation. I mean, riding a bike. Some people are going to take that the wrong way. When Lindelof says his body's fine and he's been riding hard during the rehabilitation, it's got nothing to do with what he's doing in his home life. It's riding a bike. So it was nice to get 45 minutes at the end. It's always nice to get more match time before the national team. Yeah, this is what I was going to say about this, because it sort of fits in with Rasmus. So Lindelof plays 45 minutes and goes off to play for Sweden. Mainu was injured on the Thursday, plays against Villa, but still got called up by England and now is pulled out. Listen to what Rasmus says as well. There is no point rushing things and risking another injury. My body feels good again. I might be ready to play 90 minutes, but if I also have to use my brain a little bit as well. And I don't think 90 minutes on Saturday against Spain is a good idea. So we've got a player who is saying, I've got to look after myself and I don't think I should play 90 minutes against Spain for Denmark on Saturday. I'm thinking, why is he on international duty? Why is Lindelof on international duty? Since when did players go on international duty when they're not fit? I mean, maybe we were spoilt for many years as when we had Sir Alex, because these players just wouldn't be going. Man United's bigger than your country. You're not going. You're not fully fit. But it seems to me now that you can go and play for your national team when you're not fully fit. I mean, that's Rasmus himself saying, I'm not ready for 90 minutes for Denmark, and yet he's gone off on international duty. And I'm like, I get it. I get why people want to do that. And he's an important player for them, of course. But from our point of view, you've got a player there that's not ready to play 90 minutes on international duty. And you sort of like take a breath time, aren't you? Same with Lindelof as well. Our players' fitness levels are embarrassing, says RIP Manchester United. Well, they're not helping themselves by travelling and playing 2 games for the for the national team when they're only just recovering from injuries, are they? But a player is never going to say they don't want to play, but I think Manchester United should be a lot stricter about this, especially when some of these players are travelling halfway across the world. If you think about like Argentinian players, etc. And then we had that story that Kev was talking about last night in relation to Martinez as well, didn't we? But look, I like what Rasmus is saying there. He's basically saying that he's got to look after himself and it's not a good idea that he plays 90 minutes at the weekend. I think in relation to the injuries at the moment, obviously that Mazraoui story ended up being true, didn't it? I mean, what a day yesterday. Well, it started on Wednesday night. We had that super chat from that person who said Mazraoui has got a heart condition because I know a member of staff who works at the hospital, which I just thought was the most bullshit super chat I've ever heard. Then it ends up that there is something truthful about that, which means whoever did the super chat was actually disclosed. Yeah, we won't go there. Then we had another Man United aggregator saying, exclusive, I know that he's fine and he's going to play against Brentford. And then an hour later, Man United put it out there. No, he has had a minor condition that he's had an operation on. They don't want to put any time limits on it at the moment, but he will be obviously recovering that. So Drub says you need to apologise to him. Mate, you need to stay in your lane and I'll stay in mine. I ain't apologising to anybody because at the end of the day, I tell you why I won't apologise, because they said in that they'd been told that information by a member of staff at the hospital. I'm not apologising and condoning people giving out private medical information. So swivel on that. There won't be an apology. I still don't agree with it. I would not want anybody disclosing any of my medical information publicly at all. So no. Yeah, I'm not apologising for it at all. But yeah, going back to what I was saying there, like, we are very much on thin ice. Ten Hag's on thin ice in relation to his job. But Man United are on thin ice because regardless of who the manager is, I'm looking at Brentford next week. I'm looking at the next 4 weeks and I'm going, I might be in the minority here, but I'm starting to get vibes from last season where it's almost like they're starting to stack up. It is starting to stack up. I mean, Malacia, Luke Shaw, Yoro are longer-term injuries. Mason Mount's always injured. We know that Garnacho and Mainu have got knocks. We now know that Mazraoui is out. I'm sure there's more than that. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, but that's 7 straight away. And we also know that Lindelof only just come back from injury. Rasmus having to manage his minutes, which means those two are delicate. Dalot is playing ridiculous amounts of football and he's their only fit fullback. Martinez, we've got a bit of a scare about, although it sounds like he's okay. It's just, and we will pick up more injuries. You know, what if Rashford pulls his hamstring or De Ligt pulls a groin? Like, these injuries will keep happening and they're stacking up because we don't have a lot of players coming back. So I'm a little bit worried about that. And that's external. I mean, this is a problem. This is a very, very big problem. And it's a problem that will be there whether Ten Hag's here or not. It was a problem that was here before Ten Hag. And I don't know how we're going to solve all this. I really, really don't. But Lindelof is probably going to have to play at right back, isn't he? My colleague who's a Scouser shared a video of Bruno at Sporting losing at half-time versus Porto. Emotional player, he just needs to control it more, says Matt. Was that when he kicked in the door? I remember that, yeah. And Sean Turner says that I think anyone would feel better playing with better players now, and I'm guessing he means goals for him are essential at unit because both the strikers are useless and don't score, says Sean. Well, I disagree with you, Sean. I don't think both our strikers are useless. I think it's a service thing, and I think Bruno is responsible for that. What I also acknowledge is, as a fan of Bruno, I want him to do well. I'm not anti-Bruno. The video I did yesterday and what I've said to you over the last few weeks is just honest. I don't do player FC. If I did, I probably would be on Bruno's side, but I don't do it. He's not good enough at the moment. He's not playing well at the moment. He's the captain. He's on 300 grand a week, and he is the focal point of the team. And pointing the finger at Rashford or Garnacho or Ahmad or Anthony or the front two is completely unfair because his job is to create for them, and he doesn't do it. I can't remember the last time he created a decent chance for any of those players. Now, somebody will probably say in the last 10 minutes against Villa he did, but he needs to be, that's his job. His job is to create. I'm not going to make excuses for him, unfortunately. But I do agree, when he plays well, we play well. And when he plays badly, we play badly, which shows you just how important he is. It's not as simple as he's shit. That can't be the solution. It's not as simple as drop him because Mason Mount's not fit. So we have to get the best out of Bruno. And the only way that's going to happen is through himself. He has to do it. And as I said yesterday on the video, fundamentally, he can do it. I believe he can. But he's got to stop with all the hero balls. He's got to start being more responsible with the ball. And he will get the... You know what? If Bruno played against Brentford, kept the ball, patient with the ball, possession football, and we won 2-0, people would... It's not like people dislike Bruno. We're just waiting for that performance to go, that's what you need to do, and you can do it. But I just think he tried... Well, I don't even think it, Sean. I know it. He tries to do too much. That's why you see him at centre-back, right wing, left wing. There's no discipline. I mean, I didn't even mention this on the video yesterday, but we said it last year, and it rears its head again. I remember saying this last March. If I was in charge of Bruno, I would tell him to stay in a 20-metre square. You know where that 20-metre square would be? Edge of the opposition's box, centre circle, and then 20 metres wide. And I want you to be in there for 90% of the game, especially when we're on the attack. I don't want to see you on the right wing, the left wing, at right back, left back, centre back. Just stay in that area, rotate the ball, look after the ball, and that's where you operate. But he doesn't. He's everywhere. Because, you know why he's everywhere? Because he's like when you used to play lunchtime football at school and you're in a team that's not that good and you're like, you're one of the better players. Well, I'll have it off the goalkeeper. I'll get in the box. You know, he is literally that player who has to be involved in everything because the team around him he doesn't trust. And that's one of the big problems. He doesn't trust the players around him, and that's probably what he's saying there. So he has to get involved in everything, but that is to the detriment of his game. Also, Mike, Bruno has a Superman complex, says Keel. I think, yeah. Bruno usually messes up on the pass, says La Familia. And why do other clubs not have injury issues like us, says Daniel? Well, I don't know. I can speculate. Personally, Man City, Aston Villa, Arsenal, Liverpool, many Spurs do more running than us. So when people say, it's because they get too worked. I mean, the funniest thing is when people say, it's because Ten Hag works them too hard. And I'm like, but we don't run anywhere near as much as anybody else. And people want a style of football that is pressing and passing and everything like that. To do that, you've got to get your players fitter. They're not capable of doing it. You know, people can moan about the medical department. Maybe that is the issue. I also think the profile of player we've got can't deal with it. I think we bought certain types of players for a certain type of system that we don't want to play anymore. And you're asking people like Maguire, Lindelof, you can keep naming them, and I just don't think they're capable of playing to the intensity required, so that when we're training to do that, their bodies are breaking down. And that's my theory. I just think we've got a lot of players that are not capable of doing it. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Man City do it, Arsenal do it, Liverpool do it, Spurs do it, and they don't get the injuries. So I just think we've got a collection of players that can't do it. And as for, well, a lot of these players have been bought by Erik ten Hag. Well, De Ligt, you can't really count any of the new players because they've not been here long enough. When I think about Casemiro, I mean, that's just a bad buy, isn't it? You know, his legs are gone, but in the first season, he was absolutely fine. Rasmus, well, yeah, look, okay, he's picked up a few injuries. You can't deny that. Xerxes not been, well, we can't mention him. Mason Mount, yeah, bad signing. Got to admit that. Anthony gets quite a lot of injuries as well. So look, you have got to take responsibility for some of the signings. Of course you have, but it doesn't escape from the fact that I genuinely think a lot of our players either had issues when we bought them or we've inherited players that just can't deal with this. But we do seem to pick up a lot of injuries. There's no doubt about it. To be fair, the amount of football players are playing, there are many clubs getting serious injuries to important players, says Nishan. Well, yeah, look, I don't monitor other clubs as much as us, but I know Chelsea had a lot last year, Brighton had a lot last year, Newcastle had a lot last year. Look at Villa at the weekend, no McGinn, no Onana, no Jacob Ramsey, so you could argue 3 of their best midfielders. So it's not just us. And also, Konza went off. So, yeah, straight away, we played Villa last weekend. They've got a lot of injuries as well. Scholes said it before, he knew where everybody would be on the pitch, not even just Bruno. The whole squad seems to be everywhere. Brilliant comment, Connor. Brilliant comment. We are if you are, I remember Paul Scholes saying that, and it's absolutely correct. You can't be sat nav if you don't know your destination. And would Paul Scholes be successful in this team when he's, you don't have a lot of time in football. You look at some of the wondrous passes that Paul Scholes did, but it's probably because he knew where Ryan Giggs was. Because he knew where Beckham was. He knew where Keane was. He knew, without looking, he could play a 5-yard pass back to Keane, or he could ping it out to the right and Beckham or Neville would be there. Whereas in this team, you look and they're not there and you're like, shit, I've been tackled. I average 100 kilometres per week in my sport. The more you train, the more robust you become with good quality recovery. They must act like elite athletes, says Josh Burke. 100 kilometres a week. That is incredible, mate. Bruno uses done that one. Why do okay? The injuries feel like if players are unsure, they won't play even if they possibly could. It's not going great. Some will avoid playing if they can. Well, that's another thing, Patrick, as well. We don't know the mentality of some of these players. As I said to you before, some players don't fancy it. My Christmas jumper has just arrived as well, says Carol. What a lovely name to get a Christmas jumper, Carol. Thank you. Okay, I've got to get off because I've got to set up this 3 p.m. Stream I'm doing. Hopefully a bit of Goldbridge ball, but I might play on Legendary, in which case it's just self-destructive. But Man United Career Mode's back at 3 o'clock. I'm back at 8 o'clock tonight as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Just a quick update on what's going on. Quite a lot coming out, actually, this afternoon. So get your comments in as usual, and I'll speak to you all in a little bit.